It's not risky. It's just a lot of responsibility. And your responsibility may 10x overnight. That's a lot to hold. And it can be emotionally destabilizing. I watched it with my wife. You know, when we met, she had basically a 6-figure steady job type thing. And then she was like, I'm going to go travel the world with you. I'll help you. You know, I'll advise you on having your own business and this and that. It's just a lot of responsibility.
I feel as though for people who are jumping into that entrepreneurship life, I think it was on the My First Million podcast or whatnot, they were saying, if I knew it was going to be this hard, I wouldn't have started in the first place, right? And that's the example that I went through of one of the trends I saw was podcasting, to your point of being an amateur and building the systems. And I started podcasting in 2018 when I had the CEO of our business. I don't know if I ever told you the story. The company I used to work for, they had the CEO would go to each TV station, and my general manager said, oh, the CEO is looking for ideas to leverage revenue amongst millennials. Mike, this was 2017. And I remember the CEO came and I had a piece of paper in my hand, and I was showing that 3 years prior to 2017, all media buying went down except for one media, and that was podcasting. It was up 24% specifically in the demographic of millennials. So I talked to the CEO. I said, hey, have you thought about podcasting? And I have my paperwork, and he just shut me down. He's like, no. We already have like YouTube, and some of our people, they had some like celebrities on their payroll. They were like, oh, they're doing YouTube content already. So I sat down, I looked at the person next to me. I said, the CEO of this multi-billion-dollar company does not know what a podcast is. I'm starting a podcast. So I started the podcast 2018, and I've been doing it ever since. But first, you start podcasting, you record these episodes, I borrowed equipment. All that to say is, I'm doing all this work. I'm like, man, I'm not making any money. Which I tell people, don't start a podcast if you're trying to make money. That's not the effective business model at the time. But I was like, oh yeah, podcast. But as I'm doing that, then I'm taking time away from a budding relationship. She's like, hey, we got to spend time together. This podcast taking a lot of time. All right, let me just hire somebody. Now I'm spending money. And then it's like, okay, this is great. I have someone editing my podcast. I got some free time. I'm going on walks with my wife and everything. Well, she's my fiance at the time. And you already know, now she's like invested, like, okay, we're spending all this money. How are we going to get it back? So then now the necessity for systems started coming into play, because I'm like, man, I fell in love with podcasting. I love this medium. I love conversations. If someone said, what can you do for the rest of your life? Never get paid to do it. Just sit down, talk to the most interesting people in the world. But now I'm paying someone to edit it, and now I need to justify this by making money. How do I build this model? So that's when I start asking mentors. I get a couple coaching sessions. You need a community. You need this. And it becomes this behemoth of an approach of, oh, these are the structures you have to build, and you can't do it all. You can't do everything. So now you're trying to systemize, and like, I learned what a CRM was a few years ago. Then it's like, okay, now I have customer relations. So for anybody who gets thrusted into this, I can only imagine, and this is someone who very much an infant in the game still. Like, I don't even think I'd say maybe I'm an adolescent 13-year-old. Like, my balls are about to drop. That's probably what it is. That's probably where I'm at in entrepreneurship. For anybody thrust in it, is that crying baby, like, oh my gosh, what do I do? So that's why I would say mediums like this, podcasting, the Full Stack podcast, everything we share here shares not only valuable information, right? Like, I love how with Chris, I can get tactical and like, okay, what positions do I need in order to build that $1 to $5 million a month business? He's like, you need this position, that position, that position, right? But then it's also the high level of, if you're stuck at your revenue of $500,000, perhaps you're the 21-year-old, you're able to drive, but you're speeding, you're getting speeding tickets, and the writing on the wall doesn't look good. Well, here's how to regulate your nervous system. Here's how to handle more. Here's how to get past thresholds and get to the next level. So perhaps the Full Stack podcast is the parent we all needed.